when you look at the UFC lightweight division, there is barely anybody in the entire division that has a fight booked. I'm pretty sure the only fight booked in the entire top 15 is Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. And I think that's a little ridiculous because half of the people in this division, they're not coming off of injuries. They haven't fought in like a year. So what is the big deal? Why are we waiting so long for these people to get fights, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing today in this video. Tony Has Died, will be matching up the entire UFC lightweight division. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit, and let's get straight into this, all right? Starting with the first matchup, the champion, Ilia Topuria. And he is a big symptom of this problem we have at lightweight, where it's like Ilia Topuria took literally no damage in his entire fight against Oliveira. He went out there, he knocked Oliveira out in 3 minutes. Didn't take any big shots from Oliveira. He ate like one elbow in the entire fight. And he still has yet to have a fight booked. Or even like a hint or semblance of who we might fight next. There's been like, rumors that he might fight like Gaethje, bro. But I don't think anybody wants to see him fight Gaethje. So who do I think Ilia should fight? And as much as I hate to do this is the only fight right now that makes sense. Arman Tsarukyan. I hate to say this, bro, because I don't like to reward what Arman is doing, which is exactly what half of the rest of the division was doing, which is basically just sitting around waiting for a title shot. But I'm not going to be surprised when they give the title shot to Arman, because they gave the title shot to Bilal. Shavkat waited for a long time. He got the title shot. JDM waited for a long time. He got the title shot. The UFC will give people title shots when they wait around for a long time. Arman beat Oliveira. But now it's like, okay, Islam beat Oliveira. Topuria beat Oliveira. Arman beating Oliveira, we can just say that Oliveira is not in his prime anymore, So, what is it so special about beating him, So, I really don't like giving Arman the title shot, but when you look at the rest of the people in the division, like Patty, Gaethje, Hooker, he's definitely the most deserving out of all of them, So, I think Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan, it's also the most competitive fight you can make. Because you look at the rest of the division, it's Holloway, who Topuria already beat. It's Oliveira, who Topuria already beat. Gaethje, how do you think that would go? This is the only fight I think that could have a little bit of questionability behind a potential victory. You could at least argue, bro, Arman's got a good chance in it. You know what I mean? Versus all these other matchups, it's like, we know Ilia's going to win it. So I would do Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. It's the only title fight that makes sense right now. Maybe Arman could fight another contender like Holloway or Oliveira or Gaethje or something. I don't see it happening. So I think they'll probably end up doing this on the first Paramount card, if I had to guess, in January. So Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan, run it. The next fight I want to talk about is for Max Holloway. Now, since he lost to Poirier, I guess you can count that as a fight at lightweight. But he also beat Poirier at lightweight, so he's 1-1 with Poirier, and then he has the win over Gaethje. So Poirier was top 5 when Holloway beat him, and Gaethje was also top 5. So this dude has 2 top 5 wins in the lightweight division. However, he still has the BMF belt. And so if he fights somebody, it has to be for the BMF belt. So we can't just give him, we're not going to give him fucking Patty, bro. People are saying do Max versus Patty. Makes no sense at all for BMF. This has to be a BMF title fight. And who else is a BMF in this division, right? Daniel Hooker. Mr. Dan the Hangman himself, Dan Hooker. And listen, man, Hooker's on a pretty good win streak of his own. He was about to get himself a fight into the top 5 against Gaethje. Pretty sure Gaethje was ranked either number 3 or number 4 when the Hooker fight got booked, right? I think that Hooker still deserves that jump up in comp after he beat Gamrot, and we've seen Gamrot go on to do very impressively against Ludovic Klein. So it's a good win. We know how good Gamrot is at grappling. Hooker, yeah, he got taken down, but he got up. It was a questionable fight. Gamrot could have won the fight, for sure. But I still think that Hooker deserves a shot again into the top 5. He's a BMF. He takes every fight. He goes to war every time. Who else to put against the BMF champion, but Max Holloway. So I think Dan Hooker versus Max Holloway would be a fun fight. I think Max Holloway would most likely get this one done. Just pure volume. I think Hooker gets hit a little bit too much. We've seen Max kind of have a little bit more power at 155. Look what he did to Gaethje. He dropped Poirier in the first round. So we've seen Max obtain power in this division. I don't think it would do too well for Hooker, but you look at who else is in the division, who else could fight Max. It's like Oliveira's booked. He's probably going to go to war with Gamrot. Gamrot is going to be injured as well. So it's like, we're not going to do Gamrot versus Holloway. We're not going to do Oliveira versus Holloway because they're both going to be injured. Gaethje already lost to Holloway. This is the only fight, man, except for Arman. You could do Arman versus Holloway, but I just don't see the UFC doing that, man. So I think Max Holloway versus Dan Hooker, phenomenal fight. Run it. The next fight we got to talk about is a fight that is already booked. Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. First and foremost, I'd like to send my apologies to Mr. Oliveira. I said that you were ducking Gamrot because Gamrot said you were ducking him, but proved me wrong, so fair props to Oliveira. I should never have doubted my glorious King Charles. I mean, this fight is already booked, so what is there really to say except who I think is going to win? It's going to be close, man. I think this is going to be a razor close fight because, one, Oliveira is not looking as fast as he used to, but on the other hand, Gamrot gets dropped in every fight. We've seen Oliveira also accept bottom position, like his fight against Arman and his fight against Islam, where he just kind of lays on his back, you know? And against strikers like Gaethje and Poirier, that can work. But against someone like Gamrot, who has probably the best, just pure wrestling, I think Gamrot's probably the best. I think it's going to be, I don't know, man. I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. Obviously, I'm going to do my prediction video in 2 weeks, so stay tuned to find out who I'll pick. But right now, I'm leaning more towards Oliveira, but I could pick Gamrot. I got to think more about the fight, you know? So let's move on to the next one, which is Justin Gaethje. And here's the thing about Justin Gaethje, bro. He's been pissing me off lately because he literally just beat Fiziev on short notice, and he's calling for a title shot. You're not getting a fucking title. You're not even on a win. Like, you got flatlined by Holloway like 2 fights ago. And he acts like, bro, that was an exhibition fight. That was a BMF fight. That wasn't a real fight. You got brutally flatlined in Masterclass, bro. You're not getting a title shot against fucking Topuria. And if you did, no one wants to watch that shit. Like, we know you're just going to get flatlined. You're going to get put out brutally. Probably first round, if I had to guess. You know? But yeah, Gaethje, who do I think he should fight? Nobody talks about it loud. I'm Patty fucking... You fucking sausage. You fucking... I think Gaethje should fight Paddy Pimblett. I think that this makes a lot of sense. Paddy, he's on a pretty good win streak. He just beat Michael Chandler. And that's what pisses me off. Paddy's calling for the title shot too. You beat Michael Chandler. He's 2-5 in the UFC, bro. This isn't the Michael Chandler that went to war with Gaethje, who knocked out Hooker. This is Michael Chandler who took 2 years off of his career waiting for Conor McGregor, and he's still calling him out. He's still calling him out, bro. Yeah, man. Michael Chandler is not a good win to get you into the title picture. Both guys, I think they need one more fight. Gaethje, he's been at the top of the division for a while. He took on Fiziev. Paddy, he's climbing the rankings. He's going to fight up. He's a big superstar. I think Gaethje versus Paddy is the fight to be made. Let's see it. The next fight I want to talk about is we got Beneil Dariush right here. Dariush is coming off of that win over Moicano. He's been pretty inactive as of lately. He lost to Arman Tsarukyan, got knocked out by him. He got knocked out by Oliveira. He got dropped in the Moicano fight, but he used his grappling to win that fight. He beat Gamrot, which is super impressive. He dropped Gamrot in that fight. Beat Tony. Beat Carlos Diego Ferreira. Although that was low-key a robbery, so you never know. But who do I think Dariush, my Iranian brother, should fight next? I think he deserves to fight Benoit Saint-Denis. BSD, who, let's be for real, man. I hate on BSD a lot, but I have to give him credit where credit's due. He masterclass Mauricio Ruffy on the ground. He took Ruffy down with ease, held him there, beat him up, and then he got the submission. Just straight up marauded on him, bro. And he beat Kyle Prepolek. I know Kyle Prepolek is complete dog shit, bro, but BSD defended his ranking twice. I think he deserves to fight up. I don't really think that Dariush deserves to fight up just from beating Moicano, who his self is washed. We'll talk about Moicano in a minute, but I think that BSD deserves to get a shot up. And it's an interesting fight because we saw what happened when a wrestler in Gamrot wasn't able to get their takedowns against Dariush. Will BSD be able to do what Gamrot wasn't and be able to knock out Dariush, who's been dropped in his last 3 fights? So I think this is a fun fight. The next thing we need to talk about is this fucking guy, Rafael Fiziev, who is injured. And so he will not be fighting anytime soon. So I know someone in the comments going to be like, bro, you forgot Fiziev. He's injured. He's going to be out for a while. So I'm not matching him up with anybody. The next matchup, though, is a fun matchup in the grappling department where we got Renato Moicano. And I think he should take on Grant Dawson, who has a very crazy record in the UFC. He's 11-1. 11 wins, 1 loss. His 1 loss is to Bobby Green. It was like I'm not going to say it was a fluke, bro, but if they fought again, I definitely would pick Grant Dawson. But since then, he beat Joe Solecki. He beat Rafa Garcia, who's, honestly, he's probably up there as one of the better lightweights in the division as well. Completely just destroyed Carlos Diego Ferreira as well. Now, how highly do you rank those wins? I don't know. They're all fringe lightweight rankings fighters, but what is undeniable about this fight is that they both have great grappling. Dawson, who is a great wrestler, versus Moicano, who has great jiu-jitsu. Maybe it could cancel out. This fight will be on the feet. We could get an entertaining fight out of fucking Grant Dawson for once. Or this will be a fucking smudge fest for Dawson. Or, maybe Moicano gets the sub. I think it's a fun, fair fight for both guys. Moicano, he's been fighting killers. Beat BSD. Super impressive he did that. But, yeah, man. I think this is a fight that needs to be made. The next fight I want to talk about, and I got to be realistic when I'm matching up Michael Chandler, bro. Because I started thinking to myself, okay, maybe this Conor McGregor shit's going to happen. Because they're talking about it. They're thinking, he's Conor McGregor! He's calling out McGregor still in the year of 2025. And McGregor's playing with him still, man. I still don't think the fight's going to happen, if we're being real. I don't think that Chandler's going to get the McGregor fight. I think that ship has sailed. And in my last video, I said that Chandler should fight Ortega. Now, I do know that Ortega's probably going to move up. I don't know if they'll match him up with Chandler. That's the fight that I would want to see. But if I'm trying to be realistic, I think Chandler should fight the guy that called him out in his last fight, Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez is on a 4-fight win streak. And 3 of his fights are this year, bro. So credit where credit's due. Kurt Hollabaugh beat him. Chase Hooper knocked out Chase Hooper, who was on a pretty good 6-fight win streak of his own. And he knocked out Carlos Diego Ferreira. Now, he was losing the fight up until he got knocked out. But he still got the knockout on CDF, who is a pretty good fighter. And so that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here. It's like, Chandler, you've gotten your fucking dream matchups. You got to fight Oliveira twice. You got to fight Poirier. You got to fight Gaethje. You lost. You lost. You have to fight a contender eventually, bro. And I think Alexander Hernandez is a deserving contender. 4-fight win streak. He's done enough in this fucking sport. Get this motherfucker into the division. I mean, that's impressive, knocking out Chase Hooper. The way he knocked out Chase Hooper, bro. And Chandler, he just hasn't done anything of note. He hasn't done shit, bro. And so, yeah, I'm going to have to say Alexander Hernandez versus Michael Chandler, run it. The next fight I want to talk about is Mauricio Ruffy. Now, Ruffy is coming off a submission loss to Benoit Saint-Denis. I don't think all hope is lost. This was only his 4th fight in the UFC. He's still young. But I think it's a little ridiculous to have Ruffy still in the rankings at the number 15 spot. I do think that's a little ludicrous from the UFC. And so who do I think Mauricio Ruffy should fight next? Oh, I messed it up. There it is. Jared Gordon. I think Mauricio Ruffy versus Jared Gordon would be a fun fight. Now, Jared Gordon, bro, if you look a little deeper into Jared Gordon's record, I think he beat Paddy Pimblett. So Paddy's the top 10 fighter in the division right now. He beat him. I think he got robbed against Nazar Hasparat, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. I think that Gordon definitely won that. And the Rafa Garcia fight, he just got knocked out. He was winning the fight, but he definitely, he got hit by a fucking car. And he decided to still fight for some reason. I don't know why this guy who got hit by a car the day before decided to continue to fight. I don't know why he thinks that's a good idea. But at the end of the day, both guys are coming off a TKO loss. Both guys were right on the edge of the rankings. I think that this fight, they were both fringe rankings. They both got finished by submission. They both were on good win streaks before they got finished. I think you should do this fight. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think stylistically it would be fun as well. Maybe Gordon, who's a crafty veteran, could fucking mix in some grappling, mix in some wrestling, test Ruffy a little bit. He's not going to be as fast as Benoit Saint-Denis. He's not going to be as physical as Benoit Saint-Denis. So just testing the grappling of Jared Gordon. I know Gordon's typically a striker, but I feel like if he was smart, he would probably try to wrestle in this fight, if you feel what I mean. But I think that this is a fun fight stylistically. Gordon's been knocked out before. We want to get the fucking fight nerds back in the W column, maybe. Get a little bit of that hype back. I'm not saying it's a layup, but it is a good fight stylistically. So I think this would be a fun one. The next one, and originally for Michael Johnson, I wanted to do like a meme matchup for him. I wanted to do Unk versus Unk, Bobby Green, but I kind of realized that Michael Johnson deserves to fight up in the division, man. When I'm looking at the division, Michael Johnson's on a 3-fight win streak, and Bobby Green, I think that Michael Johnson's higher in the rankings than Bobby Green. And so Bobby Green, he has to keep fighting down. Michael Johnson has to fight up, so I think that ship has sailed, bro. I wanted to see that, but I think that this is the fight that should get made now. Yeah. Look at the meme potential on this one instead, bro. We got the Gooner. I spent a lot of time gooning this camp. We got Chase Hooper, who has put on a pretty impressive win streak at lightweight, beating Jordan Levitt, beating Borishev, beating Clay Guida, beating Jim Miller. But he finally got to Alexander Hernandez, and his stand-up just looked atrocious. It looked terrible in the fight. Now, Hooper does have very good grappling. And I was kind of like, why didn't he shoot a takedown earlier in that fight? I don't know. But I think that this would be a really fun fight because it's going to be Hooper who's going to try to finish Michael Johnson, who's been submitted before a couple of times. And he's going to be trying to submit Michael Johnson, right? Michael Johnson, he has great striking. He dropped Zell Huber. He could knock out Chase Hooper in this fight, and that would be fucking aura. That would be straight aura to the dome for Michael Johnson if he got the win over the Gooner, And this is like the young kid who's literally like, what is he, like 23, 24 years old, Chase Hooper, versus Michael Johnson, who's like 40 years old. Like, there's meme potential here, man. I think Michael Johnson versus Chase Hooper is the fight that needs to get booked. The next fight we got to talk about, we got this motherfucker right here, Nazim Sadikov, who is on a pretty good win streak of his own. Well, it's not a win streak, it's an undefeated streak because he went to a majority draw. Was it a draw or a decision? He might have beaten Borishev. I can't remember. But he knocked out Ismail Bonfim and he knocked out Nicholas Mota in a fight that was crazy, that Mota landed 100 fucking shots in a combination, gassed himself out, and then Sadikov comes back and gets the finish. I don't like the win streak though. He's showed that he's skilled for sure, but he hasn't beaten anybody super impressive yet. So that's why I think that he should fight the classic Bobby Green. The classic test, Mr. King, Robert Green himself. I'm not calling you King, bro. We got Bobby Green. I think this fight would be super fun. It would be on the feet. Elusive striker right here versus slick striker, but he doesn't really have the same skill that he used to in the past. It's a classic test that every lightweight must go through. He's like the new Drew Dober of the division, even though Drew Dober knocked him the fuck out. Drew Dober's washed now. But I digress. This would be a super fun fight on the feet for sure, so I think they should run it. The next person we need to talk about is Rafa Garcia. And who do I think that Rafa Garcia should fight next? Now, Rafa Garcia, he's pretty underrated, man. There's an argument that he should be ranked right now. He's on a, his only loss recently is to Grant Dawson. Since 2022, his only loss is to Grant Dawson, who's in the rankings. And he just beat Jared Gordon, who I thought should have been ranked as well. Beat Mahashate, beat Clay Guida, it's not that good of wins. Look, the point I'm trying to make is I think that Rafa Garcia should fight Nasrat Hasparat. No, I didn't pull the name out. Nasrat Come on, fix the fucking thing. There you go. Nasrat Hasparat. Because Nasrat Hasparat is on a good win streak, but a couple of them are robberies. Like the Ribovics fight, arguably robbery. Jared Gordon fight was arguably a robbery. This fight, I don't think there's a way you can get a robbery out of this, man. I think Rafa Garcia's going in there to fucking bang. I don't even know. There definitely could be a robbery in this fight. It actually just screams robbery. But the point I'm trying to make here is this would be a super fun fight. I think it'd be on the feet for the most part. I think this would be a good one, all right? The next fight, we got Fares Ziam, who himself is also on an impressive win streak. Who do I think Ziam should fight? Someone coming up. I think that Ziam should definitely fight up. I don't know why they had him booked against Kai Fernandez for that Paris card. Maybe to just get an easy W for the Paris crowd. They wanted the Paris fighter to win in Paris. But I think he deserves to jump up. And I think that he should fight Ignacio Bahamondes, who just got his jump up against Fiziev and did not win. I think Fares Ziam, who did Ziam fight? Who did he fight last? Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a very impressive lightweight. Masterclassed him. That knockout over Matt Frivola was crazy. Now, the fight with Claudio Puelles did show a lot of good grappling in that fight, but I do think that Ziam won on damage. Beat Jai Herbert. He's done enough to get a jump close to the rankings. I think Bahamondes, who's coming off of a loss himself, I think that he should get the fucking fight. I think that this is a fun fight. It would be on the feet. Bahamondes is highly entertaining. That's why people watch his fights. Ziam, he's starting to get more entertaining. We used to have this narrative about Ziam, about him being kind of a weakling in the division, kind of easy to push around. But he's broken that narrative as of lately. I think this is a fun fight. And the next person on this list is Chris Duncan. Who do I think Chris Duncan? I think Chris Duncan has done enough to also, he's kind of in the same position as Ziam, and maybe they could fight each other, but I think that Chris Duncan should fight Esteban Ribovics, the most entertaining fighter in the UFC right now, who just had an insane fight against Elves Brenner, had a robbery against Nasrat Hasparat, had a crazy war with Daniel Zellhuber, knocked out Terrence McKinney in about 37 seconds. I think that this fight is insanity. I think they both go, you look at the fight with Rebecca, that's crazy, I think this is a crazy fight to be made, and I think it needs to be made. This is fucking certified gang banging, swanging violence, bro. And so let's fucking see this shit. Let's see this shit, brother. All right? And then final fight I want to talk about. I got Jakar Close. And who do I think Jakar Close, man, he's had so many shots to try to get into the rankings. He used to be ranked. He has that famous fight against Dariush where, he was winning. He was dropped Dariush and then he ended up getting flatlined by him. But he's put on some decent wins, bro. He's I'm pretty sure he's 5-1 in his last couple, or 7-1 or something like that. Crazy. 10-3 in the UFC. But he's had his chances, man. He had the chance against Dariush. He had the chance against Alvarez. I think he needs to take on up-and-comers, bro. And I think that Jakar Close, I think he should fight Killian Salakid, who I have seen. I think he has great potential in this division. If you've watched any of these I know he's only beaten 2 cans so far, but you got to do that jump up eventually. Jakar Close is the definition of a good test. I think that this would be super fun. It would stay on the feet most. I mean, maybe Close would try to work. I mean, honestly, this would be a super well-rounded fight because he showed some grappling in his last fight. He also showed grappling against Barbosa. So I think that this would be a super well. I mean, they both can strike. They both can grapple. And yeah, man, this would be a super fun fight to make. Now, that will do it for the video. There are 2 people that I'd left out, which were Yoel Alvarez and my boy Mikti Beck Oralby. I didn't mention Oralby because I'm pretty sure he's moving up to 170. He keeps missing weight. I hate to say it, but I think that he's got to move up. And Alvarez is fighting Luque now, so he's no longer a lightweight. So, but yeah, that will do it for the video. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.